Figuring out how to move your body in a way that's nourishing, intentional, and empowering while pregnant can be quite a challenge. Even I, as someone who has a lot of experience and education in this world, felt a little overwhelmed when I first became pregnant. I think a part of the problem is that everyone knows at this point that movement and exercise in pregnancy is a good thing, but the people generally making these recommendations, like OBs, midwives, the writers on staff at various prenatal apps, for example, don't necessarily know what to suggest other than focus on pelvic floor, which, okay, what does that mean? Don't do anything that puts you at risk for falling, like mountain biking or skiing. Duh. And sometimes don't do anything that you didn't do prior to getting pregnant, which isn't true, by the way. So let's demystify this whole how to work out while pregnant question. Just quickly, so you know I'm a trusted source, my name is Meredith. I'm a functional strength coach and a yoga instructor with a master's degree in exercise physiology. But even more importantly, I am a prenatal and postpartum corrective exercise specialist and a prenatal yoga instructor. I taught in-person prenatal yoga classes for years, and I've had a lot of pregnant private clients, and I also just had my first baby last year. I built an extensive prenatal strength and mobility program in real time with my own pregnancy, and this program is really just a big conglomeration of all of the things that I think are most valuable when it comes to movement in pregnancy. The purpose of this video is to educate you on these things that I think are important to consider, but also to inspire you, because I think when we're knowledgeable and intentional about what we're doing, movement in pregnancy can be really, really empowering. Hopefully you can take these lessons into any workouts that you choose to do, but if you want to be guided through 9 months of pregnancy and 14 weeks of postpartum recovery, I invite you to check out my program. The link is down in the description. So as far as I see it, when you look up pregnancy workouts or prenatal workout program, most offerings fall on two ends of a spectrum. There are workouts that basically help you modify, meaning they obviously take out any exercises where you're lying face down. They might change some core exercises here and there, but otherwise the messaging in general is pregnancy doesn't have to hold you back. Mamas are strong. You can basically stick with your same routine. And there is certainly nothing wrong with this, but for me, it's missing something, which I'll talk about in just a second. And then on the other end of the spectrum, there's lots of workouts that are just very gentle. So yoga, Pilates, walking, lots of bar. Again, nothing wrong with this, but for me, it was missing something. I really think the sweet spot lies somewhere in the middle, which is where the inspiration for my program came from. I know that not everyone is this way, but for me, pregnancy was a really sacred time. I didn't want to pretend that I wasn't pregnant. I wanted to be doing workouts that would keep me feeling strong and confident, but also that would very specifically prepare my body for labor and postpartum recovery. And I wanted my workouts to be an opportunity for me to move with and connect with my growing baby. So my holy trifecta became intentional strength, intentional mobility, and mindfulness and breath work. So let's start by talking about the strength component. Not only is it possible to build muscle during pregnancy, but it can be incredibly supportive for the pregnant body and really aid in a smoother postpartum recovery. I've been saying intentional strength because we have a lot of pregnancy-specific things that are going on in our body that your basic strength class with modifications may not properly cover. So let's go over some of those things. Firstly, it's important to know that our joints are just inherently less stable during pregnancy. And this is why it's really important to prioritize strength work. Building muscle will result in more stable, less achy joints. This is true for all of the joints in the body, but I really want to highlight the muscles that surround the pelvis, the glutes, the hamstrings, the adductors, the hip flexors. Building strength in these muscles will help to build pelvic stability, which heavily contributes to a functional pelvic floor. If you're experiencing it, then you know that pelvic pain can be so uncomfortable and can really impact our daily lives. It's not just something that we want to endure for 9 months. Intentional strength work can be a huge help here. Another consideration is our posture. It is constantly shifting during pregnancy, and the primary reason for this is that our center of gravity is just continually being pulled forward. If we're not mindful of this, this, we can naturally start to fall into a lot of compensation patterns, which may or may not lead to more discomfort during pregnancy and just generally less functionality. Unnecessary gripping and tension can just cause a cascade of issues. Some intentional strengthening work for the upper back can help to counterbalance this slouched posture, but also just being really vigilant about our form and how we're moving, both when we're on the mat, but also throughout the other 23 hours of the day. Okay, hang on, we're losing light here. How's that? Okay. Let's see, what else? Babies are freaking heavy. So it is really important that we build muscle in our arms and our shoulders so that we can comfortably hold our babies after they are born. Trust me on this one. Lastly, core strength is so important, but we're not just doing crunches to get abs. We want to be really specific and choose exercises that are going to help us build stability and just a well-balanced functional core system. Things like planks, side planks, bird dogs, Pallof press variations, rotational core exercises. And it's not just about exercise selection. It's really important that we learn how to properly engage our core and our pelvic floor while we're doing these exercises, which is very nuanced work and can't necessarily be taught in this type of format. But my prenatal program starts with the Foundations Week, which is 5 classes that cover all of these basics of breath, core, pelvic floor, pressure management, and posture. And you can get access to all 5 of these classes for free. I have them linked down in the description. Just please know that mindful core strengthening work is critical in pregnancy. It's going to help us maintain pelvic stability and pelvic floor function. It can help us minimize things like diastasis recti and prolapse and incontinence, which unfortunately are more common in pregnancy than you think, but can certainly be mitigated with proper awareness of how our core and pelvic floor function as we move. And all this conscious core work during pregnancy can hopefully help aid in your postpartum recovery process. So it's definitely not something to skip. Okay, so next up is mobility. So why is it important to prioritize mobility during pregnancy? Firstly, just as building stability in our joints can aid in how we feel, so can mobility. Regular joint mobility work can just help us feel so much more comfortable in our bodies. But there is also so much mobility work that can be done to physically prepare our bodies for birth. We want to be working to create space in the pelvis so your baby can easily navigate through on their birthday. Just broadly speaking, pelvic and hip exercises that put our pelvis into an asymmetrical position can be really helpful here, but everything is connected. So it's not just about the hips. We also want to be regularly prioritizing mobility for the rib cage, the upper back, the chest, and so on. All of this will not only help pelvic mobility, but it will also contribute to pelvic floor function. So regular mobility sessions during pregnancy are fantastic, but what's great is that with proper exercise selection, our strength sessions can also help us build that functional mobility. My program includes tons of mobility classes to help you feeling good throughout all 3 of your trimesters, but we also include mobility work in every single one of our strength classes. And I've got 5 very specific birth prep mobility flows for the end of your 3rd trimester. I also just want to mention that there are 5 bonus birth prep education classes that just teach you a little bit more on the topics of pelvic mobility, optimal fetal position, and what types of movements can help you at various points during your labor, things like that. And lastly, the mindfulness work. Again, if we treat it right, our prenatal workouts can really be a sacred experience. The approach of mindful strength work and mindful mobility paired with really calming cool downs and breath work can be so wholesome and supportive, and increased relaxation can not only lead to less anxiety, but less physical discomfort. In my program, we start and end every class with breath work, and we also experiment with various relaxation techniques to help build up a bank of coping skills that you can use during labor, but also that you can call upon for support during the challenges of early motherhood. Our mindset is everything and can really help to make our pregnancy an enjoyable experience that we'll always look back on fondly. I hope this inspires you to really take charge of how you work out during your pregnancy. I just think it's such a beautiful opportunity for personal growth and empowerment and preparation in your journey to motherhood. Again, you can take my 5 foundation classes for free. That link link is down in the description, along with the link to my whole program. If you'd like to just dive right in, I would love to support you during this season of your life. Thank you so much for watching, and until next time.